I found an old NES cartridge. No label, just black plastic. When I turned it on, nothing but static. But every time I pressed start, the footage got closer. My street, my front door, my window. Then it cut inside, the hallway leading straight to my room. One cartridge of A Link to the Past had black rupees. Touch one, and the screen flashed red. Link's hearts emptied instantly. After game over, the screen showed the real world time, midnight. Then the words, "You shouldn't have taken it." A blank barrel. No logo. When picked up, the game froze. DK's face slowly turned toward the screen. His eyes turned white. The only sound was the barrel spinning. After reset, every save file was gone. Except one. Labeled yours. I booted up Crash Bandicoot for the first time in years. The music was slower, warped, like it was dragging itself forward. Aku appeared, but instead of his usual chant, the mask whispered, "It hurts." Every time I broke a crate, I heard a scream. Not cartoonish, human, muffled, like it was coming from inside the box. When I reached the end of the level, Crash didn't dance, he just stared at the screen, his mouth stretching wider and wider until the game froze on his empty smile. I found my old copy of Nintendogs. When I loaded it, my dog just stared at me, growling. Maybe it was hungry. I gave it food, but it just walked off screen and never came back. While I searched for it, I heard scratching at my bedroom door. What if Peach's Castle wasn't as friendly as you remember? A modded Mario 64 cartridge sold at a garage sale booted straight into Peach's Castle. But there were no paintings, no doors, no music, just Mario breathing. When the player tried to pause, the menu flashed for a second. But instead of exit game, it just said, stay. A strange Metroid cartridge loaded with Samus in full armor. She removed her helmet, but there was nothing inside. Just a black void. Enemies didn't attack, they bowed. On the game over screen, the reflection wasn't Samus. It was him. An old copy of Tetris that never stopped. No matter what piece dropped, it was always a long line, over and over. Eventually the line spelled words, "I see you." When he turned the Game Boy off, the screen stayed lit. 2 pixel eyes stared back. One ROM hack of Pac-Man gave players control of the ghosts. When Pac-Man was caught, the screen zoomed into his face, and he screamed. Not chiptune, a real human scream. Then the game froze. On these words, you enjoyed that, didn't you? When I booted up GTA 3, Liberty City was empty. No cars, no cops, not a single NPC, just clawed speed, breathing in silence. When I opened the map, there was only one marker, a red dot directly behind me. I turned around, and the screen glitched. An eyeless figure stood there, smiling. The console turned off, and I've never been able to power it on since, but every now and then, I see that same eyeless smile in the corner of my eye. I started a new game of Dragon Ball Z, Kakarot. During the first cutscene, something felt wrong. There was no sound, just silence. Then the camera showed Gohan's face, empty eye sockets, the creepiest smile I've ever seen. Uneasy, I shut off the game, but his face lingered on my TV. I found my old Majora's Mask cartridge. When I loaded my save, Link had only one item equipped, a human-like mask I'd never seen before. No sword, nothing else. When Link put it on, he screamed louder, more real than I've ever heard. The game froze mid-scream. I panicked and shut off the console, but in the dark I could still hear it. What if you played as Grunty? I loaded up my old Banjo-Kazooie cartridge for the first time in years. But instead of Banjo, I was controlling Grunty herself. Curious, I went to Banjo's house. Inside, Kazooie was out of the backpack, pecking at Banjo's mangled corpse. Then she stopped. Slowly, she turned, not toward Grunty, but toward the screen. Her eyes glowed white, her beak dripping with blood. Kazooie stared directly at me. In Kirby's dreamland, every time I inhaled an enemy, Kirby didn't gain a new power. He just grew larger and larger. Eventually, his skin looked like it was tearing apart. Then he turned to the screen, mouth opening wide. Inside were glowing red eyes. A text box appeared. Help us. While playing Zelda, Ocarina of Time, I walked into the market, and every NPC was staring at me. Normally it's full of music and chatter, but this time, dead silent. I tried to talk to one. The text box only said, "What have you done?" The screen glitched just for a second, and when the image came back, the market was empty. Everyone was gone. Only Link remained, staring at me with an unsettling grin. There's a hidden town in Pokemon Blue they don't want you to find. A kid in 2001 claimed his Pokemon Blue had an extra town, no name on the map, just a blank spot. Inside, every NPC said one thing: we shouldn't be here. The music slowed down, then cut to silence. When he tried to leave the town, the screen faded to black, but the game didn't shut off. Instead, It whispered his name. In Pokemon Yellow, I was trying to catch them all. I went to the Pokemart to buy Pokeballs, but the shopkeeper wouldn't sell me any. Instead, his text box only read, "Stop catching them. Let them rest." Confused, I turned to Pikachu. But instead of the usual happy sprite, I saw a grotesque, bloodied version, far too detailed for a Game Boy Color game. I listened to the shopkeeper's advice. I never touched the cartridge again. My old GameCube memory card was full, so I decided to delete some saves. But instead of game icons, every slot had my face. I opened one. It was a recording of me in my room, scrolling on my phone. Another showed me playing games. The last file left me breathless. It showed me asleep in bed, and standing at the foot of the bed was a silhouette of a man, completely still, staring right at the camera. Someone hacked an old Sonic cartridge. The rings started killing him. Every time Sonic picked one up, the screen glitched, and Sonic slowed down with 50 rings. The game over screen appeared, but it didn't say game over. It said, you over. Even after the cartridge was pulled out, the sound of rings kept playing. A strange Ocarina of Time cartridge. It loaded with every song unlocked, but when Link played them, there was no music. Just silence, except for one. When he played Zelda's lullaby, the game froze. Link dropped the ocarina, and on the screen, the words appeared in red. Don't play that again. I regret playing Hollow Knight Silksong early. I found a leaked build online and booted it up, but my character could only walk forward. I couldn't run, I couldn't jump, not that I needed to. The entire level was flat, like a stage with no depth. I kept moving until I reached the chapel maid. When I talked to her, she simply said, "You should have waited. See you soon." I closed the game and looked out my window. Behind a tree, someone stood, watching, looking straight at me. A sim moved in next to my house that I never made. I've been playing the same Sims 2 save for years. Last week a new household appeared next door. One sim moved in I had never seen before. A silhouette with red eyes. He did nothing but stand at his window and stare. Whenever my sim got close, he just watched, didn't blink, didn't move. I shut off my PC to go to bed. Then I saw a silhouette at my real window, staring back. I found a game in my library I never installed. It was just called Start Game. No images, no description, and it didn't appear in the store. When I launched it, it played like an FMV Russian roulette game. A black-haired woman sat across the screen. I played and won. The footage was disturbingly gory, far too realistic for a simple FMV. I shut it down and went to bed. The next morning, the news showed a photo of the same woman. She'd been found dead in her apartment. I booted up my old Animal Crossing on the GameCube, but instead of welcoming me back, every villager looked terrified. When I tried to talk to one, they only said one word: leave. I reached to turn off the console, but the power light was already off. An arcade cabinet in Japan had a fighter nobody could beat. A black silhouette, no name, unblockable moves. If you lost, the machine didn't ask for another coin. It showed your initials, crossed out in red, and the cabinet kept those names forever. There was an enemy who looked exactly like me. I found my old GoldenEye cartridge for the N64. When I pressed start, it loaded straight into the dam stage. No level select. In front of me was another James Bond. He copied every move I made perfectly, but when I stopped moving, he didn't. He aimed at the screen, and when he pulled the trigger, my TV cracked. I found a copy of Sonic CD sitting outside my front door. No idea how it got there. When I booted it up, the title screen had no music. In the first act, I found a time warp signpost labeled "Never." When I used it, the screen went black. Then Sonic's eyes filled the screen. Even when I turned off the console, the eyes stayed on my TV. In Super Mario Bros. 3, I blew the whistle, expecting the usual shortcuts, but instead, the screen went completely black. As I pressed forward, I could hear Mario's footsteps echoing in my room. Then I stopped, but the footsteps kept going behind me. I found a Zelda game that wasn't supposed to exist. I found a burnt CD with no label. I put it in my PC, and an infamous cutscene from the Zelda CDI game started playing. I couldn't tell which game it was, but something was off. The audio was nothing but whispers. Link turned toward the screen and gave me the creepiest smile I've ever seen. The Super Mario cartridge isn't like the others. Enemies only move when you look away. The mushrooms follow you, always watching. The Koopalings aren't Koopalings at all. There's something else, something hungry. When you lose, it doesn't restart. Mario just stands there, staring at you, waiting. I sacrificed Yoshi in Mario World and instantly regretted it. I tried the classic trick, ditching Yoshi mid-jump to clear a gap. But instead of following Mario, the camera stayed on Yoshi. When he hit the ground, I heard bones shatter. Way too real for an SNES game. His sprite twisted into a bloody mess. A text box appeared. Why? I shut it off and I haven't touched a Mario game since.